Hi there, my name is Becky Murray, and I am in Katja Hildebrandt's ECS 210 class, and I'd just like to do a reflection on one of the articles that we were asked to read for our assignment number 2. The article that I chose to analyze is called Framing the Family Tree: How Teachers Can Be Sensitive to Students' Family Situations. And the first time I read this article, I actually got quite offended and reacted poorly because I felt like it was not fair for an entire class to miss out on an activity just because one of the students had lost their father. To kind of summarize the story, basically a little girl, grade 1 level, had lost her father, and the teacher had them do a Father's Day tie project, or activity, I guess, and the little girl ended up going with her mother to the graveside of the father who had just recently passed away, and the mother was really upset. Now that I think about it, she has every right to be upset, and if that were me or if that were my daughter, I would also be very angry with the teacher for not considering my child or my feelings. As teachers, I realized that we have to be empathetic, and I was not being empathetic when I first reacted angrily to this story. I realize now that this little girl's feelings are deeply hurt. That's not something you can get over easily, a death, especially when you're a child. And it was just disrespectful to consider this child not to be, it's not a big deal. Well, let's just move on with Father's Day. What the teacher should have done, in my opinion, would be to discuss with the children different family dynamics. She could have introduced a storybook, or she could have just asked the children to share, like, who's in your family? Because I believe in this day and age there are so many children who do not have a standard mom, dad, 2 kids and a dog and a white picket fence type life. So I don't think that the little girl would have felt so segregated if they would have been able to have an open dialogue. And it may have even helped her to realize her feelings and move forward in her healing. And actually, she could have maybe eventually gone forward with the Father's Day project. And she could have remembered the fond memories, the good things about her dad. Or the teacher could have also tweaked it so that they could have done the project for just like a male role model, like a grandpa or an uncle or a friend who she was very fond of. But the teacher didn't, and now that I think about it, I didn't either. And this is just one of those teaching moments where I had to stop myself, think to myself, what are you doing? Put yourself in their shoes, be empathetic, and I needed to react better. So I hope to never forget this experience, and when I am a teacher, I hope to get to know my students well enough that I will not let a situation like this ever happen. And yes, that mother reacted poorly, but she had every right to, and I would have as well. So I think there's lots of lessons learned here. Number 1 being be empathetic. Number 2 being that there's better ways to handle the situation. And moving forward, the last lesson I believe I've learned is that you need to have an open relationship with your students so that they feel like they can talk to you about anything, and so that these type of situations don't come up because you know your students well enough. That's basically summarizes that. I'd like to just point out that I drew a picture just to summarize my feelings regarding the story. So as you can see, it says Father's Day, and Father's Day could be a really, sunshiny and lovey-dovey type day. But for this little girl making this tie on Father's Day, it was gloomy, gloomy and sad, and she had to go down to her father's gravesite, and that brought out a lot of emotion and a great deal of difficulty for this little girl, just making this simple tie. So I don't think I'll ever forget what this picture represents, because it represents a mistake I made, and it represents how powerful young children's emotions are, and the fact that she could have turned Father's Day into a positive experience for this little girl, which I aim to do. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my blog post.